These conversations on truth, these discussions on universal principles are not new. They are actually ancient conversations. And being that they are ancient conversations, a lot of what we deal with today, being that it's all being funneled back through the present tense of the internet, is a lot of regurgitation. We're listening to new faces and new voices present old ideas with a language that is no longer relevant to the student that is pursuing the knowledge that teacher or guru or whoever he is claims to have. Being that we spent our life desire jumping, moving from one desire to another as that desire is interrupted by the undesirable things that come along with it. We've applied this method to learning as well and to the teachers and educators that we put in front of ourselves. If we're not careful, we are drawn to the presentation of the person whose information aligns the most with what we believe or would like to be true. And please don't sit here and act like you have not displayed throughout your life the desire to be lied to. Please do not act like when you have a desire for a person, that person cannot openly display a distaste and a dishonor for you, that you are perfectly fine pretending like does not exist in exchange of pleasantries, I love yous, and sexual encounters that you would like to continue. We lie to ourselves all the time, both positively and negatively charged lies to ourselves. The constant digestion of lies operates like darkness in a room that allows for us to sleep peacefully. And ultimately, that is the issue. Not only is there a part of me that remains asleep, but there is a part of me that would rather remain asleep than to become awake and aware of true knowledge. We will listen to one teacher. We will digest everything that teacher says religiously until they say something that goes against a core belief. And then we will migrate to another teacher who teaches a convenient expression of what truth is, that as it aligns to our fantasies and our desires, and how we can manipulate the process and the systems in place by the universal God. You looking for the presence of God has looks like a woman looking for somebody to pay all of her bills, or a man looking for somebody to do his laundry and clean up for him and cook for him. You're not on the prowl for where you can be beneficial. You're looking for benefits. All your life, the presence of love has been with you, and that's never been enough to keep you satisfied or even to get your attention. You've been looking for the fruits of love without the connection and engagement of the relationship. But again, you can see this in the expression of what we call relationships on the physical plane. Notice when a woman decides to withhold sex from a man, it's not okay for him to go and get it from somewhere else. When a woman decides to be unpleasant in conversation and ignore her husband, it's not okay for him to pick up his phone and go and engage in pleasantries with another woman just because this person is no longer serving my benefit. But we see it. We see it happen. So since we see it happen, we can identify the fact that sometimes what we say we're looking for is nothing near what we want. And what we really want is not a partner or a lover. We want a slave. We want a do-boy, a do-girl. We want someone to lift us up and make us feel esteemed and feel important. And that's fine. You might find somebody to do that, but you have to understand that it comes with consequences. You have to understand that the higher this person lifts you up, the more they feel disconnected from you in truth, and the more expectation they place on you to perform and align with the things that they've invested in their belief in you. Flattery is never free. It often leads to unfair expectations and resentment and bitterness as you refuse to align with what is being asked of you. So it should be easy to see that inside of us is the unfair expectation to, even when we are not delivering what we have signed up to do, like on your job, you're not going to be okay with them people cutting your check just because when you was on the job, you weren't producing the way you were supposed to. Hey, we saw you on the phone, so we docked a couple hours off your pay. Oftentimes, we're not honest enough with ourselves for people to hold us as accountable as they could. Because when people hold us accountable, we feel attacked because we never allowed ourselves to see the truth of our actions. We spoke narratives within ourselves and listened to the legion of voices give us these little reasons for why we did what we did that makes sense only inside of our head. Like if you're still in that season of calling people when you get upset, just don't listen to that person, because half the time you're talking so fast and you're so worked up that you're not listening to the good counsel that they're sending your way anyway. The next time you get on the phone upset with somebody, Listen to yourself. Listen to you explain what happened. Feel the awkwardness halfway through the story when you start to get the sense that it's not as deep as you making it, and you got to start exaggerating. If you run all new information through your old processor and your old programming, you will never evolve or grow beyond where you are. If all new information has to align with what I already know, it is impossible for me to learn anything new. I can only confirm or affirm the things that I already believe to be true. And to be honest with you, you're always going to find exactly what you're looking for. So you can look at a document, you can read a book, you can watch a video that is literally telling you the inaccuracy of what it is that you believe, but you are capable of perceiving that information through the lens of what you desire to be true and totally operating in a delusional state and seeing what you want to see. And that's really what you do. When you don't like somebody, nothing they say makes sense. Not because they're stupid. No, because you see everything they say through a certain lens of stupidity, and that doesn't allow for you to see the truth of that person. It doesn't allow for you to see the value of their idea. If I have a low value of you and you are presenting an idea, I'm going to extend my view of your value to your idea, because there's no way that somebody of your value could come up with a high caliber idea. When we're asked on questionnaires and things like that, if we work well with others, we've always checked yes for the most part, because we knew we were supposed to. It's probably going to be other people working at the job, so if I put no, I might not get the job. But to be honest, we don't really work well with anybody, not even our higher self, not even our creator, not even the universal laws. We wrestle and fight against everybody because conflict is what we were hand-fed. We watch it on TV. We watched it in the home. We watch it in ourselves. We watched it at school. We know conflict. We know chaos. We are presented with the idea of a peace that surpasses all understanding. So there's a peace that we know nothing of and a chaos that we are totally familiar with. Which one do you think that we're going to choose consistently? What's crazy is we split ourselves even further, because we know that our mouth is supposed to align with truth and supposed to align with peace. So we speak as if peace is what we want and peace is what we know. And we act as if conflict and chaos is something that we're opposed to and something that we're beyond. But when you get around people and you start to spend personal quality time with them, it shows which one they know and which one they have no clue about. So look, we've been talking about reflections, right? We've been talking about how everyone in front of us is an extension of us. We've been talking about how other people are genuinely other creations of the same eternal source that embedded all within us and embedded all within them as well. The fact that this person is in front of me lets me know that this is someone that I have called to myself. That alone is a difference from where we have lived for a long time. We oftentimes meet new people and try to figure out why this person came into my life. What is it that they want from me? The toughest part about understanding that everyone is your reflection and everyone in front of you was attracted to you by a request from you, and everything inside of your existence, good, bad, or indifferent, was called for from you, is how little we know about ourselves, how often we deceive ourselves, how often we believe the words of the legion of voices that operates inside of our heads, sitting back in the darkness, weaving narrative after narrative, giving us definition after definition, and influencing us to believe other than what is true about ourselves. There's a word I'm going to throw at you real quick, and it is dependency, right? What is it that a supernatural being created from a all-sufficient, all-knowing, all-loving, ever-present creator would ever need to depend on? If I was aware of my fullness and my wholeness of creation, my perfection of design, and my ability to apply any of the universal principles for my gain or my loss, what is it that I would grow dependent upon? I think we could quickly agree that the answer would be nothing inside of the awareness of who I am, what I am, and why I am. But in the darkness, you know what we grow dependent on? Our eyes. because we believe that they help us to see, our ears because we believe that they help us to hear, to stay safe and survive. We rely heavily on our instincts. We rely heavily on our senses because we do not have our identification intact to know, even when we don't know what's coming, that there's nothing that can harm us. I'm wrapped up in my mind, surrounded by millions of thoughts every time I'm in front of a person because the truth of people is not intact about myself. I don't know that all that are in front of me are just expressions of what is inside of me. So the only way that this person could be toxic, dangerous, harmful, and non-beneficial is if I am all of these things. And what's even doper is if I apply these attributes to the person in front of me while they do not apply, then it returns to sender. All of my judgments casted that direction fall back upon me, and I will find myself in the awareness. I might try to ignore it, but I will find myself in the awareness that everything I called them, everything I said they would do, I did or do or have done. It sounds silly, but our partnership with our eyes really has us believing that we are separate from one another and somehow greater or less than each other on this plane or the next. These weren't supposed to be religious cliches. These weren't supposed to be Bible verses rattled off in Sunday school to give the pastor or the teacher indication that you have been studying on your downtime. But there's no way that the Creator could not be a respecter of persons. The last could be first, and the first could be last, nor could all have been united as one through the one source that sustains all if there's still a hierarchy and a line to get in. Sometimes as teachers, we don't say the simple things because it makes us sound stupid. But to be honest, it makes us appear stupid when we don't align with the awareness of the simplest universal truths that are in operation around us. So I'm going to say some things that you say you know, but then we'll look at things that we do and say that show us that we really don't know the things we say we know. You and every single human being on this planet was created by the same Creator, is sustained by the same source. You and every single human being have the same beginning, were given the same tools to operate within the physical plane, being a body. The functions of that body operate exactly the same. There is but one universal mind that has been embedded in all of us. I know that's a tough one, but if not, then why have some things that you conjured up in your mind when you were just at home chilling turned out to be inventions on the other side of the world getting patented and people making millions from it? If your mind is so unique, then why is it triggered by the same things that triggers everyone else? Why are your emotional sets the same exact emotional sets as everyone else? If we are so different, then why are we able to encounter people for the first time and get in altercations because they should have known better than to do or say what they did? So when we disengage our emotions, there is a part of us that's aware that all of us are of the same nature. But if I get so identified with my body and I get so identified with what I see when I look in the mirror and I take upon myself the identification of my appearance, then I will believe myself to be separate from you because you appear different than I do. Your hair is different. The pigmentation of your skin is a different shade. The appearance of your clothes is not what I would like. Your shoe size is a different size. But the only way for me to say you and I are not the same is for me to identify myself with my body and for me to identify you with your body. And that's where most of our disconnect is. For most of our lives, we have been associated so largely with the body. Since we came out of our mothers, someone has been tending to and encouraging us to take care of the body. And we have often neglected the true nature of ourselves and become obsessive over the appearance of ourselves. Most of us don't know anything about being happy, but we know how to pretend to be because we have people that we associate with as happy, and we just go inside and channel the imitation or the mocking of them. Your world immediately changes just with this slight adjustment, just with knowing that everyone you encounter is of the same nature as you, originates from the same creator as you, and is just as whole and perfectly designed as you are, changes everything. What is a reflection? The definition is the throwing back by a body or surface of light, heat, or sound without absorbing it. So when you go and stand in a mirror, the mirror throws back to you what is in front of it. It is impossible to see in a mirror what is not standing in front of it or placed in front of it. Ultimately, when we say everyone in front of you is your reflection, what we are not saying is that this person and you are identical in thought, emotion, life circumstance. We're not saying any of that. Let's get that clear. Because this is why education is so important. Because if you take information out of context and you misapply it, you'll end up with superstition, like religion. The mere fact that there are so many YouTube videos, TikToks, Instagram posts designed to teach people how to attract what it is that they want and who they want, and teaching them how to acquire someone on a certain frequency shows you the danger of taking information and trying to manipulate it in your life and get results. You don't have the ability to attract. You live inside of a magnetic field of attraction. You don't raise your frequency. As you align with universal truths and shed illusions, your frequency is raised for you. Not by some superstitious creature who exists beyond the clouds, who's finally approving of your actions, but by universal design, by your design and the design of the plane which you operate on. Your frequency will never be moved by desire. Your frequency will be raised or lowered by your alignment or misalignment with the universal truths and your ability or refusal to apply them. It's funny because people have like charts on their phones and like charts hanging on the wall, labeling each frequency and what it is, and then they look at the frequency and they gauge from the frequency chart where it is that they are. But to be real, your greatest reference to what your frequency is the person in front of you. You don't really like that because you keep so much negativity going in your head that by the time there's a person in front of you, it's someone who's expressing this negative nature that you've been in your head hanging with. So for you to be told that the person in front of you is your reflection is actually an indictment. And you know what we do with indictments? We dodge them. We go and we call our lawyer. We get our defense team together. But check this out. Another really, really simple truth. Another really elementary principle that is constantly overlooked and causes mayhem because of a lack of awareness of it. The truth is not out to get you. There is no one waiting at the end of your story to tell you how good you did or how poorly you've done, and to send you to a paradise or to a burning lake of fire. But you having the idea that there is has given you endless chatter to deal with, and also giving you a host of fears that have created a long running list of illusions that plague your life. The truth's objective is to set you free, but it's not going to set your ego free. It's going to set you free from your ego. The truth will show you just how much you value lies. The truth will show you just how much you cherish parts of your story that you say if they weren't included, you would be the perfect you. The truth will show you that the life that you've been pursuing is death. The truth will show you that the people that you've been judging are expressions of yourself. We don't understand the body's language, so we miss a lot of the body's lessons, or the lessons that we could accrue spiritually by watching the body. For instance, the body is nothing but a follower, just like the brain. But if you look at most of our stories or our presentations, the body and the brain are in control, and there's an absence of awareness of a higher self that lives within, dormant at all. The brain only contains past experiences and past thoughts and ideas, so as it encounters new information and new situations and new methods, it runs it through the lens of its prior knowledge and tries to make sense of it. It only can follow. It only can go where you allow it to go or where you tell it to go, unless you leave it unmanaged, and then it just scrambles. The expression of the body as a follower, if I was in the room with you and I yawned, you would have to fight the urge to yawn, most likely. If I scratched or I cracked my knuckles or I was rubbing my hands together, you unconsciously would begin to imitate me unless you had prior knowledge of this phenomena, and then you've probably learned how to control some of these instinctual acts. But why? Have you ever asked yourself why you fight the urge to naturally yawn after someone yawns across the room? You ever asked yourself why you never have had the conversation within yourself about how you gained awareness of the person's motive before they disclosed it to you, even though you had nothing but your assumptions to go off of? You've never asked yourself these questions. But just like the person with the frequency chart, even if you did, your propensity to lie to yourself, to keep yourself inside of the delusion that's known to you as familiar comfort, is so natural that when you do it, you won't even recognize it. I'm not learning how to use my eyeballs better. I'm shutting down the dependency on what I see with my eyes, and I'm tuning in to the single eye that is only light and always open. But how many of us can say we've lived a life through a single eye? How many of us can say we've lived a life through a single lens? How many of us can say we've identified the people that we enjoy and that we benefit from the same as we've viewed the people who set themselves up in opposition against us? How many of us carrying on about the treatment from other races towards the subsect of society that we belong to or subscribe to can honestly say we ever anticipated or expected the same treatment that we got amongst our people from others? The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. But if thine eye be evil, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness? What is evil? Evil is the absence of good, right? But we know that there is nothing that is in existence that actually carries the absence of goodness. So we also can conclude immediately that evil is an illusion. So if thine eye is consumed by an illusion, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be actually nothing, how great is that darkness? I'm going to try to talk slow and wrap this up on this point right here. You have to understand that you have never seen anything or heard anything outside of your lens of interpretation. You do not see things. Colors and waves enter your eyeballs as vibrations and travel through the back of your brain, through the lymphatic system where your associated feelings are located, to the frontal lobe where definitions are created. And this is all done by you, just like the person with the frequency chart that knows that they come from a past aligned to themselves. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the chart. What I'm saying is, when did you get so honest that you got to be a sufficient judge of yourself and where you are? You know you ain't never been rocking like that. You know every time you did something wrong, you knew that it was wrong, but you justified it by looking at what the other person did, playing the blame game, saying that you're like this because of what happened in your past, or you're like this because you're afraid of what's going to come in the future. You know that you'll tell a lie, not necessarily to other people, because most of the time, if we're not afraid of them, we're not going to tell them a lie, but you know you'll lie to you in a heartbeat. You know you'll take a story from factual evidence and you'll spin it into what it could have been or what it looked like or what it might be in a moment, in a flash. You know this about yourself. So why would you sit back and actually have confidence and trust in yourself to dissect the very things that determine everything? You never noticed that when you're a suspicious person, everybody seems suspicious? You never notice that when you have trust issues, it spreads to everyone? You think everybody lying? You have to see it. It's not everybody that you're encountering and you're just needing to be in front of the right people for once in your life. It's you taking you everywhere you go. When you get in front of an honest person, you assume them to lie. And you likely insult their honesty by calling them a liar. And I'm going to just tell you straight up, even those who are calling themselves enlightened, those who are saying that they are woke and they are conscious, these are still people. And we come from some broken places. And if you haven't truly healed and truly forgiven yourself and truly moved past guilt, shame, and condemnation, people's words will send you into that dark space where the legion of voices begin to attack and you begin to misidentify yourself once again with the things behind you. But the beauty in that is if there's someone in front of you that's refusing to let go of the things behind you, it won't be their refusal to let go of the things behind you that hinders you. It'll be your partnership with their inability to let go of the things behind you. And this person is in front of you holding on and harboring the things behind you as an indication of the things that you still harbor behind you that you need to let go of. And letting go of it just may cause you to stop playing the game of punishment and payment towards the debt that you owe somebody that's refusing to let go of your past. You don't have to let go of nobody. All you got to do is heal. All you have to do is heal, and those who are requiring toxicity from you will move and find another source. It's not just that people are your reflections. Your entire universe, your entire world, you are your own universe. You got to get it. You got to understand it. You are your own universe. Your emotions, your expectations, your fears, your desires, all spill out into your physical presentation. And if you have a trained eye that is open and honest and full of light, you will know how to identify it and make adjustments to the inner you that will grow into a reality. Man, the world just done got so dark. It's getting so bad out here. No, it's not. Your mind is. However you describe another thing describes you. It may be a part of you that you ignore, avoid, or pretend does not exist, but everything that you describe, every person that you describe, you're only describing and giving definition from your perspective. And you can see anything, but you can only define what you know. So when you see someone do something and you determine that this is what it is, before having a conversation with them, you have come to this conclusion based on nothing but your previous encounters and the things that you know already. So it's not that you're defining that person or what they did. You're defining what you know, and you only know you. If you want to change anything, it starts with a true change within yourself. You've been trying to change things your whole life, and you have changed nothing. But the one thing you have not tried to alter is your allegiance with your ideas and thoughts that have got you in the situation that you're in today. You trust the voice that talks you off the cliff to help you climb back up as if it's not going to talk you off the cliff again. As you go in circles looking for thought after thought to take you where you want to go, as if it wasn't your thoughts that misguided you the wrong direction in the first place. One day you will become cognizant of the fact that you are on life's treadmill going nowhere. You are burning energy, you are burning time, you are burning and exhausting yourself, fighting against a universal design that is unchangeable and has no regard towards how you feel about its operation. You ever asked why it's impossible to love another unless you love yourself first? You ever wondered why? Maybe it's because you'll always see others as you see yourself. See, if I have a flawed view or perspective of myself, the best I can hope and the best you can hope for from me is a flawed view perspective of you. I'll know I've truly healed my inner confusion, not when I see me better, but when I see you better, because we are constantly under progression and we are always working on ourselves and making lists of to-dos to increase our value. And as we go down that list, checking off box after box, oftentimes we do get to the point where we're convinced within ourselves that we are adding virtue and value to ourselves. But when we look at others, we begin to shun them for not participating in the disciplinary things that we do with ourselves. Or they don't read as much as me, or they don't know what I know. They don't study how I study. They don't see things the way I do. And as I continue to see people in this lowly light, I know that I've done nothing to change the inner perspective and inner conversation of myself. But as I extend the view of goodness and wholeness and value towards others before they've said a word or before they've given me anything or done anything nice towards me. As I learn how to identify everyone as a creation of God, I will get to the place that I attribute that same level of dignity and righteousness of creation towards myself. But for me to go in and try to make it something that is exclusive to me or exclusive to my subgroup or only for this group of the world. And I'm just really not the guy for the race conversation or trying to make God out to be racist, because I remember one of the last things I did inside of religion, I went to an esteemed pastor and I asked him a question, a genuine question. I said, there's so much talk about demons and so much talk about Satan. But we said that Jesus went to the cross to make all things new. And when he rose, he was successful in doing so. So where is the scripture that says that Jesus died and was risen to make all things new, except for Satan and his legion of demons that were thrown out of hell under the condition of them wanting the praise and worship of an unconditional God? See, I'm beyond poking fun at religion. There's no value in that. What I'm showing you is many of the systems of belief that we still live with today are the very reason for the confusion and the misrepresentation of who we are. Truth be told, all of us originated in love. All of us were cultivated for love. All of us were designed for love, not to be loved, not to seek to be loved and tended to. We were designed to be full expressions and full extensions of the loving source of which we began from. So the fact that right now you're expressing yourself to be bitter and hateful has nothing to do with your identification. It has everything to do with you being in an identity crisis. You don't know who you are, so you're stuck in your emotions, or you're stuck in your thoughts and ideas of how you should be or what you should be doing. To be real, you're going to deal with people however you deal with yourself. If you don't have any patience, any kindness, any consideration, any respect towards yourself, and you don't have any grace towards your mistakes, when somebody is in front of you and they drop the ball, you're going to express to them the very nature of the conversation that takes place inside of you when you're on the hot seat. And you feel like you're justified in doing that because, you do it to yourself. But the thing is, nobody told you to. And ain't nobody ever asked you to treat them like that. So for you to assume that they would like for the same abuse that you run from yourself all the time, it's crazy. Lock in.